What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here. Delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. And you can go sign up for my newsletter there. Make sure you never miss anything. Anyway, I today have decided to pick up Batman Wildcat on a little bit of a lark. Chuck Dixon, the writer, and one of my favorite writers of all time, did a video the other day talking about his favorite Golden Age character to write other than Batman. And he mentioned Wildcat. So I happened to be going through the comic book store, and I grabbed this because Chuck Dixon said it was his favorite to write, other than Batman. And Wildcat, I really didn't know much about Wildcat. I've seen the Stargirl show. I'm not a big DC guy in general. And I know he's part of JSA or whatever. But the Stargirl obviously is not the same character as this guy, Ted Grant. And he's a old-timey boxer champ who kind of has got, seems to fall on hard luck almost every issue he's mentioned, and falls into these situations where he helps out Batman. So this is a 3-issue miniseries to start, and there's this like boxing ring going on, this fighting ring, I should say, where there's superpowered beings doing these things in a fighting ring, and it looks like Wildcat gets killed, and Bruce Wayne starts to look into this because of his buddy. So we learn a little bit about Wildcat here. It turns out the actual Wildcat shows up, starts hunting into this too. And this is a time in the 90s where you got Barbara Gordon working as Oracle, and you got Tim Drake, Robin. This is really my favorite era for Batman. And though this doesn't play too hard into the overall continuity of everything, it is nice to revisit that era, revisit this Batman, and get all this good action right here. The art is by Bo Smith, I believe. Bo Smith? Nope, I'm sorry, wrong one. Sergio Corello here, and Sergio does a beautiful job on this. This is just good comic art in general. Very enjoyable. And Batman and Wildcat eventually get in on this little ring here. It's pretty brutal. And, of course, at some point they're forced to fight each other. Ding, ding, ding. So, and that's what we get for this round 3. And as you see, the title kind of changes to verses here. So it's a super fun romp. And, you kind of learn a little bit of who Wildcat is in this one. And it's a lot of fun. Really enjoyed this. Now, the next one involves Catwoman. This one has Bo Smith as the artist on this. And this is a 4-issue miniseries, and I felt this one dragged a little bit more. I don't know. Part of me, I just don't care about Catwoman as much. Bo Smith does it. Quite the cheesecake poses of our dear friend Selena Kyle. But, there we are. And they're in Vegas, and of course they're investigating some boxing thing, and then there's some money that's being held up from the fight, which is, which they get involved in trying to chase down. And some other superpowered beings come after them. So, and there's a lot of like little cat references, cute cat references to litter boxes and things like that, that drag this along. I thought it was just maybe 1 issue too long. While I enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. And again, I just like Batman better than Catwoman, so of course that adds to that also. But it ended up all right. They have a little bit of a romantic entangle, and then it ends things out as they, kind of save the day. And that's it. And I was wondering, because I wasn't sure what else was in this, because I was like, okay, this is interesting, and I know this is pretty thick for 7 issues worth of content. And I looked and I saw all this Brave and the Bold stuff, and I wasn't sure anything. I really had no idea anything about it. I didn't look at the table of contents before picking it up. I was totally all in on just buying the Chuck Dixon work right there. And excited. But you actually go back and they have a ton of Batman Wildcat crossovers from the 70s. And these are written by, they're all written by the same guy. And I can't remember his name. Who do we got here? Bob Haney, who I'm not super familiar with, I'm not going to lie. And these are pretty cheesy in general. But, you get Wildcat, and again, he's just kind of a retired boxer, and you get the boxing theme again throughout here, and he has to do his fight in the first one, and it was all right. The second one, they actually go down into Mexico, and I thought this was the funnest out of all of them. And they're chasing down this like ancient Aztec treasure, basically. And they end up getting caught by some bad guys, and they end up finding this giant statue and taking down the bad guys. Very brutal. Like, they imply that all the bad guys drown horrifically. It's not actually shown on the panel anywhere. And so a very, very Comics Code way of getting around something horrific happening to a lot of people. But it was very, very like, whoa, that's pretty brutal for 1971 or whatnot. We get back, we have a weird one here where he's fallen on hard times, so he's now working for this corporation as a spokesman, and somebody says they stole their fuel formula for a race, and they go chase down the culprits of this whole deal. And of course, it does turn out the corporation that he's been working for has actually been bad all the way around. And this one is pretty cheesy. There's a lot of like very coincidental things that they just, there's the mystery and they get the mystery, but they don't quite, there's not real good reason for them to come to their conclusions. They just do. And then there's not really great evidence to pin it on the corporation, but some bad guy at the end decides to show up in the courtroom, with a machine gun and show that they're bad. And that's kind of how we learn that they're bad. So it didn't quite work out as well as the Mexican romp there. And then we get a little visit from the Joker, and this one was really bad. Bad in a cheesy way, right? It's very like Adam West style Batman, which is what you had before the Crisis stuff. And I haven't read much pre-Crisis Batman whatsoever. It's a very different ballgame than you get in the 80s. Jim Aparo does this one, who had a long tenure of drawing Batman, and I think his art's a little bit better than some of the stuff earlier in this. But basically, the Joker unleashes this pandemic upon prisoners. Very interesting to read right now. And for some reason, only the prisoners get it, not Batman or anybody else in there. But the prisoners all end up getting it. And even though Ted Kord was in there, he also does not end up getting it, and I don't know why. Gloss over that. So then, when they look into the pandemic that's going on with the prisoners, Batman just goes, "It must be the Joker who unleashed this contagion on people." It's like, well, why? Why must it be the Joker? Here it is. The Joker. It's becoming clear. I'll bet he is somehow responsible for this epidemic. It's like, what? Very, very, we better move the plot forward somehow. As an editor, I would have, canned that. And then, this dog somehow has the antibodies to make a vaccine to stop it. And so they go after chasing this dog, and Joker's going to kill the dog. And then Joker thinks he has the deal, so he ends up saving the dog. Very bizarre. Okay. And this last one was probably the second best of these old ones. It was nice to get these. I'm kind of ragging on them. They are a bit cheesy. Nothing compared to 70s Shazam, but it is still a little jarring compared to the opening of this volume. They almost should have maybe done them in order so that you kind of progress in timeline, I guess. Maybe. This one, they end up going to basically Bermuda Triangle, but they call it the Dead Man's Quadrangle or something like that. And there's this author who wrote a book about it, and they're chasing down illegal aliens of all things. And somebody's helping illegal aliens over the border and all that, and they're going to stop that because that's what good heroes do, by the way. So they are acting as ICE, and they end up on these ships and fight off the bad guys who are bringing them over here. And it ends up, the twist is it's the author of that book about the quadrangle to begin with. Mwahaha, what a twist. It's a silly Scooby-Doo style twist, but this one actually worked out really well as a storyline. It didn't have all the annoying stuff like the Joker storyline had in it. And it ends up with, some knockdown, drag-out fights. Now, this gets into some Wildcat background, where I guess Wildcat killed another boxer at some point. So this actually has the most character depth that we get from Ted Grant out of actually any story in here, including the 90s stuff. So that was pretty neat to kind of get to know the character a little bit. And that's it. They stop all the illegal aliens, and he says, "Thank you and your friends, Emilio. Maybe someday you can enter the U.S. legally." Oh my gosh, so great. And that was enjoyable. I enjoyed that a lot. So Overall, it's hit and miss in those old ones. I didn't enjoy the Catwoman one as much as the first Batman storyline. And the first Batman deal, I glossed over it quickly here, but the Batman Catwoman or Batman Wildcat deal with this like super powered underground boxing ring was a really cool concept, and it was really well executed all the way around. So this was really dialed, and I really enjoyed it. And it kind of fell a little flat in the 70s stuff for the most part. So you get a mixed bag. So I got to call this a 7 out of 10 overall. I enjoyed it. It was worth the read. Probably won't be revisiting this stuff much again. I know there's somebody online who was actually looking into Wildcat stuff and trying to research it and trying to find appearances of Wildcat in the DC universe, and not a super popular character. It's a very interesting thing where, I really didn't know that there was much going on with the character. And now I know a little bit more. What do you think? Did you enjoy these stories? Have you read them before? Let me know down in the comments. Are you a Wildcat fan? Is there any Wildcat fan out there? Very interested to know. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we will be back soon.